When it comes to Christmas, we all love cookies, and there are literally so many different types of Christmas cookies, and anything can really be your tradition and what you make every year, and it's delicious. For me and my family, we have a lot of cookies, of course, and one of my favorites that Grandma made was a crinkle ginger cookie, or a ginger crinkle cookie, which just means it's a ginger cookie that has molasses in it, of course, and then it really, as it bakes, it kind of comes down, falls out a little bit, and then really gets a crackly, crinkly top on it. And that is what I love. A delicious ginger flavor, a soft but crisp cookie. That's what we're gonna make, and it's pretty simple here. So in it, what we're gonna start with is a fat, like any cookie. And no, this is not butter. What is this? This is lard. And yes, you can still buy lard in grocery stores. And the thing is, I think lard has a bad name. It's no different than fat as far as butter goes. So fat is fat. It's a fat, butter is a fat, lard is a fat. And if you get a good lard in the supermarket, like a leaf lard, it's gonna be a pure lard, and so it's not gonna have a smell. So don't be worried about it. So to that lard, which does bake, I think, extremely well in these cookies, we're gonna add some molasses. I love it. Think of it like a honey, but it's thicker, and it's more, it's not just like sweet, it has like kind of like a balanced out flavor because it has almost slightly bitter tones, but not so much that you notice once it's baked up. And that's really what gives any traditional or old style ginger cookie its really good ginger look. I love the molasses in a cookie. Then we're gonna put in some brown sugar. I think again, that just plays well to the color of the cookies, but also it adds that kind of chewy, caramelly texture of the cookie. And I think that's really important. So we're gonna put all those ingredients together. Now, unlike normal cookies where you cream just the butter and sugar, brown sugar never creams quite like that. So we're gonna mix it up. We have those mixed together pretty well, and now we're just gonna add an egg. This is what I love about especially older cookies, is they're pretty simple. And that's because back when they made them, they didn't have just any ingredients at their fingertips. They used what they had a lot of. They had a lot of molasses because usually they made it themselves. They had eggs because they raised hens, you know, all those things. So once that egg is worked in, we're gonna just add our dry ingredients. So flour is, of course, the most important thing sometimes in a cookie. So we're gonna scoop it in, overfill it, and then just swipe it off. If you pack it in there by scooping it directly into your measuring cup, you oftentimes put way more flour in than you need. So it's really a lot better if you can just put it into it, and it kind of is like acting like a sifting when you do this. So that's why it's always better. Put in our flour, and then we're gonna put in some baking soda. Baking soda a lot of times is used with molasses. It reacts with it, and it also is just helps, you know, brown and caramelize those cookies too. And then it of course has some spices. Ginger, number one, because they are a ginger cookie. So you wanna make sure, you know, and this is one of those things at Christmas, check your spices. If they're really outdated, it's probably a good time to update because this is where your flavor's coming from. And they are usually oil soluble, which means a lot of their flavors are from the oils that are in them. So we're gonna put in some cinnamon, and we're finishing it off with just a little bit of clove, not a lot because it does overpower, just a little bit. And then of course, some salt. You need that salt in there. It balances everything out. It's more needed than you think. It's just a little bit, but it goes a long ways. So we're gonna mix this in, trying to start slow at first. Notice how I turn the bowl if you're using a hand mixer. It just kind of makes sure that you're getting all of it mixed in. I didn't feel like dirtying my big mixer. It's just easier. Okay, I don't like to overmix my cookies because they can get tough, makes them a little bit more coarse, a little bit more dry. So instead, if anything, I undermix them, just give it a final pass here and make sure it's all mixed together. So I'm gonna clean this up. We're gonna assemble the cookies with a few extra things that make them, I think, extra special and give them kind of that Christmas edge, which is going the extra mile. To assemble the cookies, I'm finishing up just chopping some crystallized ginger. Now, this might not be something you just have in your pantry. I happen to keep it in my pantry because if you have it, there's fun ways to use it. It's a ginger punch, but what it is literally real ginger that they candy. So they boil it in sugar and then they coat it in sugar. And so it's just like this really kind of gummy, almost like candy, but it has a real ginger punch. And what I like to do, you can incorporate it right into the dough. I instead like to put it on top, and so it gives you this kind of fun, great, crackly top texture. So to make the cookies, you make a nice scoop to make a good sized cookie. You roll it around in your hand. I mean, I like a good sized cookie. It's Christmas. And then instead of rolling it in just regular sugar, I put it in turbinado sugar or sugar in the raw. It's these big crystals of sugar. And so they really, as they bake, they don't melt. They just kind of stay like they are and stay really crystally. And I love that. I think that just makes a beautiful, crackly, shiny, crispy, sugary top. And it's just completely different. I think at Christmas, we go the extra mile usually. If you go a little bit farther and make something extra special, any cookie becomes something special for the holiday. So in the top, I just press in a few pieces of that crystallized ginger. You don't have to go crazy on it because it is strong, and so it's just kind of enough to make a little bit of a extra topping and give you that flavor punch. And don't worry, you will taste it. So I'm gonna finish out this pan and then we're gonna pop them into the oven. I'm finishing off just with the last cookie. I give them plenty of space because they do spread out. They're a nice big kind of flat cookie. So I'm gonna pop them into the oven. And the thing I like about these cookies is you like them to get just crispy around the edge and still stay kind of soft and chewy in the middle. So we're gonna bake them. I'm gonna put the other pan together. And we're just gonna, it feels like Christmas in here, and soon it's gonna smell like Christmas. I have the last pan in to bake. As you can see, this just makes a few pans, which is to me perfect because they're a beautiful sized cookie. So I think for Christmas especially, I love to put these in Christmas boxes with candies and other cookies and kind of just have all your little things that you're making and put together in a box. And look how these present. These are the ones that I pulled out of the oven, let them on the pan for about 5 minutes to cool, and then I just put them off onto a cooling rack. You leave them on the pan for a little bit because they continue baking, then you put them off so they can cool, and look, they're crispy on the outside. Do you hear that? And then what I love about this, look at the crinkly, crackly top, but then that shiny pieces of that turbinado sugar, the ginger so people know what type of cookie they are. Oh, they still just break open beautifully. So they're like crispy, chewy. Oh, so good. I love how a cookie can evoke and just like a flavor, like take you right back to some of your favorite Christmases and memories. That's what this does to me. It is delicious. It's spiced just right, a little bit of that cinnamon, the ginger, but then you get that molasses and the brown sugar, so it has those chewy notes in the middle. There's that delicious sugar on the outside. These are such a fun treat for Christmas. And I think they're fun because a lot of people have memories of them, and if they don't, they're gonna create new memories with them. So I hope you love this recipe as much as I do, and start a new tradition with it. As always, what helps me the most is when you share these videos around. And it helps because it shows so many people that these recipes are so easy and fun to follow. And I think it is a great year for us all to start a new tradition. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope it adds to your Christmas, because we all need a little bit of Christmas, right? Try the recipe, share it, check wiseguide.com for this recipe and more great recipes. And as always, just get in the kitchen and enjoy it because you know what? Sometimes it's the best thing we can do.